I'm Jackie.
And I'm Ashley. Welcome back to Dumb Witch Club. Yeah, I know, I did that. I don't know what that
Welcome
was.
back.
Welcome back.
I don't know what to say, so...
Oh, okay. That's okay. You don't have to say anything.
Okay, let's just jump in.
We're just jump in.
We're going to do a card pull.
Yeah, we're going to do a card pull, and then we'll tell you what else we have in store.
I know. I feel like, why did I make that awkward?
I don't know.
You're like, you did, though.
I don't know. I don't know why, but it doesn't have to be. It's not awkward anymore. Well, I'm making this awkward because I can't get the cards out of the box.
What deck are we using?
We are using the Moon Witch deck.
Oh, I think I said this the last time we used this one. I love how one side of the cards is like cream colored white and the other side is black.
I know, it's so beautiful.
It's so cool.
Gorgeous, gorgeous. Yeah, we've got we always have moon things going on. I mean, the moon is always doing something.
She is very busy.
She's very busy. But I feel like we have good kind of moon energy coming up and happening, and so why not tap into that?
Do you ever think about how the moon sets the mood for the day?
Mm-hmm.
Love that.
I like that. I like the assonance in that statement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thanks. You like my what? Thanks.
You know I do. That's why I stick around.
Okay. Let's do a card.
Come for the witchery, stay for the... Never mind. Just
stay for the assonance.
stay for the assonance.
It's grammar, people. Okay.
You always just go... I just don't know what direction you're going to go.
Cast a circle.
Cool.
Healthy boundaries are crucial for growth.
This is so apt.
I'm gagged at this because this literally is...
It's so...
what we were just talking about. I mean, we weren't talking about boundaries, but we were.
Yeah, we were.
Because they are needed.
Needed.
And it also reminds me of last week's spell of the week for spiritual protection.
Yes.
And how you talked about when you draw the circle, which is true in any spell.
Sure.
Like, that is a boundary that you are setting. That you are, like, sealing up what's inside it and you're keeping out what's outside of it. I love that.
Yeah, same. Beautiful. Gorgeous.
And they are necessary for growth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Love it. Good card pull. Okay.
Time for why, though.
Yeah. I had a very specific focus for my why, though, this week.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Tell me about it.
I mainly focused on the new moon that is coming up.
I'm shocked to hear that you would do that. Shocked.
New moon in Scorpio, you would focus on that? Interesting.
Oh, and is in Scorpio, you say?
I did say.
Odd. So strange.
Yes, so weird. Why on earth would that matter to you?
No, there is a new moon in Scorpio. You are correct.
Yeah.
So, tell me about it.
So, okay. I feel like I love the new moon energy and the Scorpio energy together. It is very aligned. It is married, right? Because Scorpio is all about looking at the shadow side, looking at the dark side, delving deeper, right? And the new moon is all about kind of that dark time. There's little to no illumination from the moon, so it's the time to really delve into those shadows,
right,
and really explore them. So I like the marriage of the two. I feel like it's a really good time to tune inward, which is why when you chose that, I was like, ooh, that is so apt.
Yes.
Because it's the time to be doing that, to be tuning into the things that are not serving you, and maybe some of the boundaries that you need to look at and reestablish, as the moon is gaining more light. I think also, this is something that isn't talked about a lot, but there are things in shadow, because whenever people talk about shadow, it's always like the dark things that you don't want to face, and like there's this like, ooh, spooky shadow.
Right.
Sometimes there are things in shadow that shouldn't be shadowed, and maybe you were shadowing them because it wasn't a safe place for you to shed light on them, or you feel a certain way around certain people, and so you hide them in shadow. Mm-hmm. And I think this is a really good opportunity to look at those things too and bring about those kind of shadowed or hidden parts of us that are of a higher vibration, and work on how those are going to be, they're planted now, but how they're going to be sort of brought out to light.
Yeah, no, I really like that. And I think you're right. I think society shames people for lots of differences, or for certain, like Scorpio, really rules those taboo subjects. The ones that are always named are like sex and death. It's like, these are the literal building blocks of life as a human.
Exactly.
So, like, what's taboo about it? Like, that's cultural. That's taught. Yes. It's learned. Yes. So, I really like what you're saying. I love it.
Yeah. So, it doesn't have to be like a dark, scary time. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. And like you said, important for growth. So,
definitely. No, I like that. And see, I didn't write anything about the new moon in Scorpio because I figured you were going to talk about it. What I do have next, which you also may have noted, we have the Sun conjunct Mars.
Yeah, I did.
A couple of days after that. And so the thing, I was trying to look this up, and like, I did look it up, but so there's this term called a cazimi, right? Well, it means in the heart of, and that is when a planet is conjunct with the sun, but like right within 1 degree of each other. So like right in the center, in the heart. And I think that's what's happening here.
Yeah. Yep.
But it's like hard to tell. Like nobody will freaking just tell you.
I know.
So I was like, it's happening.
Yeah.
It's happening.
It's happening.
You can look up the degrees. It's like 26 something for both of these. So
yeah, it's got to be.
Anyways, so that's a very, very powerful. It's not, so a conjunction happens within like, the same sign usually because of it's within like 8 or 7 degrees or something is considered a conjunct. But a cazimi is an even more direct spot on conjunction. So it's very powerful. In this case, the Sun and Mars, I'm looking at that as it's combining purpose, which is the Sun, with action, which is Mars.
Yes.
And I feel like this can look like something that's been brewing, like bam, it comes to fruition at the end.
Totally.
Or I could see this as a start, an opportunity for something to really burst out and begin. So I think it can look different ways.
I like it. It adds an intensity to everything,
yeah,
which might be necessary. Sometimes confronting these things, or like I said, bringing things to light that have been under there. Maybe you need a little bit of that fire and that passion to be like, I'm not hiding this anymore. I'm not dumbing this down, or I'm not, making excuses anymore. Like, this is what this is.
Yeah, like, remember that old song, like, about letting your light shine or something? And then you're like, hide it under a bushel. No, I'm gonna let it shine. Remember that song?
Yes, I do.
I think it's a religious song, but not even in that context of just whatever it is. Like, let it shine.
Let it shine.
Yeah.
It's great.
Cute.
I love it. It is cute.
I like that. So I don't know. Those are kind of like the major why those for me.
Yeah, that's what I had. I think this new moon is the thing to really focus on. It's enough. I mean, it can be really deep and like really heavy. I mean, obviously, take care of yourself whenever you're doing really heavy shadow work. It's important to check in and make sure that you're handling it okay. And if you're not, you don't have to go down there. We always say that you don't have to go that deep with it if you are not prepared. So,
yes, definitely. So that's why though.
That's why though. Cool.
Oh, big witch energy.
Big witch energy.
Also, this time change is like just screwing me over because I'm so tired.
Yeah, because you're like, big witch energy, and you're like
I don't have
any.
that.
It's so normal not to have any.
I know.
We're not supposed to have any. This time of year.
We're not even supposed to have
We're not supposed to have any. This time of year is not meant for us to have added energy.
I agree.
It's not a thing.
I know. It's like dark AF right now, and I feel like it's 10 o'clock at night, and it's like 6:30.
I know. I want to go to bed.
I know. I'm going to bed straight after this.
Literally.
So in that case, let's get to it.
Okay.
The faster we finish this, the faster we go to bed. True. Okay, so this is how to read your personal natal chart, Venus and Mars. So
I love this for us.
We did. I love this for us too. And I love this, especially with the Sun conjunct Mars happening. I feel like kind of ties
it's so true.
Some of what we're going to be talking about. We did a previous episode, How to Read Your Personal Natal Chart, Big 3.
Yes.
So please watch that or listen to that if you have not yet. It was several months back, but you can find it. So now we're kind of moving on to the next major and the other 2 personal planets.
Yes. And that is a good reminder to watch the Big 3 one, because I feel like it's a lot more foundational, and it's not necessary before you watch this. I wouldn't necessarily say that, but it definitely is a little bit of a primer before you get to this level, because what we're talking about with this kind of series that we're doing with your personal natal chart is, your sun sign or whatever. When people ask you what is your sign, that's what you're answering, your sun sign. That says a lot about you, but that is not the whole picture at all. And we say this in the Big 3 episode 2. All of the planets and luminaries in the sky were in very specific points when you were born, and your natal chart is a snapshot of that, and they each play a part, and they talk to each other and all these things. So all of this is just foundational, but it kind of does build. Like, you start a little basic and then it builds. So this is sort of the next step, and it does get a little bit more complex. So if you're a little lost in this one, there are other episodes you can go to gain that knowledge before you tackle this part.
Yes, and that reminds me of, as we're going to be talking about this, we're going to be talking about Venus and Mars in general. We're going to be talking generally about how to interpret those placements in your chart and so forth. But it always depends on the sign that you're specifically talking about, which we're not going to go through each sign for each of these planets. It depends on the house placement of the planet, which is determined by your ascendant, which we cover in the Big 3 episode. It also depends on what planets are aspected in your chart. So we're not going to get into the details on those factors, but just to put out there, a lot of what we're saying has that little asterisk of, depending on specific sign, house placement, and aspects, you might see things different than what we are going to be describing. Exactly.
It's just all of those layers. So, it really is important to kind of know all of those layers before you really start deciding, does this apply to me or not? So these are just very basic sort of things that we're talking about here.
Yeah, but if you're new to astrology, then this is where you need to start.
Yes, it's important.
Yeah, it's super important. So, okay, let's get into it.
Okay.
I also love that we're talking about Venus and Mars together.
Yeah.
Because they play off of each other.
Yeah.
We have what we love and desire, and what we attract and what we pursue, represented in Venus and Mars.
Yep. Yeah. Venus, people usually associate it with, like, planet of love, right? Beauty. Like, yes, that's true. It's not like it's not true. But it's so much more than just, I think usually when there's discussions around that or people are looking that up, there's an emphasis on romantic relationships with Venus. And it's so much more than that. And I'm glad that's why we're talking about it now too, because a lot of people do not resonate with that narrative either, or don't care really about that aspect.
It's just an incomplete. It's just one thing. And it's like boiled all of what Venus represents down into like one factor, where it's multifaceted.
Yeah.
So no doubt about it, Venus, the planetary energy, symbolizes and draws in love and relationships.
Sure.
And beauty.
Yes.
Like the goddess Venus, that she's named after. But there's so much more to it. There's senses.
Totally.
Your senses, like your sensory experiences.
Yes.
Your values, like what you place value on. That could be a who, that could be a what, it could be a where, whatever.
Yeah.
it symbolizes your need for interaction, your need
Yes.
for social connection beyond just a love romantic relationship.
Exactly. Yes. And has a lot to do with how you show up in situations like that, how you want others to show up for you
Yes.
in situations like that, even the way that you receive pleasure, what is pleasurable to you, how you express that in those relationships. And I think too, like, what really appeals to you overall in a very kind of like aesthetic way for your life and the way that you express that aesthetic, whether that's your fashion or whatever, just in any way, shape, or form, the way that you kind of aesthetically appreciate things.
Yes, and what you're describing is just reminding me, and I think we can gain so much insight by Venus rules Taurus and
Right.
Libra.
Right.
And so Taurus and Libra sign energies are about these things that you're talking about here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I love an aesthetic
Yeah.
and a vibe
Yeah.
and a luxuriating experience.
Yes, and like a full sensory experience of whatever it is, right?
Uh-huh.
Which I think, obviously sensory experience could be something negative or painful, but
Sure.
generally we're talking about pleasure and comfort and sort of those cozy things that you want to attract and pull towards you.
That's why we love Venus so much, and we're always talking about her because we're like, oh, because that's what it represents. It's like everything you like retreat to, right? Like everything you, I don't know, like you go home and you like Mr. Rogers, like put on your comfy clothes and you like retreat into whatever it is that actually like brings you joy and like comfort. Like that's very like Venus energy.
I know, and I think obviously that can look different for different people, and some of that is going to relate to the placement. And
Yes.
I am prepared to go over each element.
Oh, I love that.
And how, not each sign specifically, but how each element might manifest Venus energy.
Oh, I'd love to hear that.
So, okay, all right. So if and we're talking about your natal chart now. So
Yeah.
we're talking about if your Venus was in a fire sign when you were born. So that's where it is. Those would be Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. So not going through each one individually, but just to say that a Venus in a fire sign seeks excitement, adventure, and passion
Totally.
as places to find comfort, value, love, etc.
See, that makes sense. It's this layer, like this is sort of like the personality, the vibe, the character in this space.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Love that.
Precisely. So, to contrast here, if your Venus placement is in an earth sign, Venus in earth seeks sensuality, comfort in a really pure way,
Yeah.
and practicality. That's what a Venus in an earth sign is seeking to
I
attract.
agree.
Yes,
Yes.
right? It's not rocket science, okay? But it's still pretty good. So Venus, so let me say it. Earth signs
Yes.
would be Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. Okay, so Venus in air signs, which would be Gemini, Libra. You might have to help me.
Aquarius.
I'm like losing my train of thought.
They're up there in the air.
yeah.
It's hard to remember.
Can't even see them up there.
Aquarius is like, yeah, don't perceive me, don't care.
No, literally. Aquarius was literally like,
Aquarius
don't
was
name
like,
me.
don't remember me.
talk.
I'm fine. I
was-
don't need you to know.
That was legit. Okay, so Venus in an air sign is seeking mental and intellectual stimulation
100%.
and new ideas.
This, yeah, totally accurate.
Again, as a way to feel comfortable and relational
Yes.
and loved
Yes.
and show love as well.
Yeah, they love to be in those spaces. It really speaks to them.
And Venus in water sign placements, which the water signs are, I just feel like I'm doing a test.
I know.
Cancer,
Scorpio.
Scorpio, and Pisces, of course. Venus in water signs seek emotional bonding.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
As a way to be in and express, again,
Comfort.
love, comfort.
Pleasure.
That's what they find beautiful and pleasurable, and that's what they attract to themselves and want to attract to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So
gorgeous.
Where is your Venus?
My Venus is in Virgo.
That would be an earth sign.
That is an earth sign.
Which is why you said that Mr. Rogers coming home and putting on his comfy clothes.
Practicality.
Yeah, and like
comfort.
Actual comfort. Like,
yeah.
This sweater is more comfortable than this jacket.
Yeah,
you know?
It's very tangible.
Yeah.
And I will say, too, that also appeals in that the way I'm seeking others to show up in that way is like, if you bring me that sweater, or you have washed that sweater for me, so when I come home I can put that on.
Yes.
That is very, very comforting and like safe for me, and it's the way that I like to feel those things.
Which acts of service, I feel like, is very earth sign energy as well.
It is, and I feel like very Virgo.
Yes, and specifically Virgo, I would say,
Virgo,
but you know, sort of like across the earth signs. Yeah. So my Venus is in Cancer, which, you know, I can clearly see it in some ways. But then in other ways, it's like seeking emotional bonding. I'm kind of like, yeah, I don't know if that's what I'm doing. But I think the truth is I have at times in my life rejected that because I was hurt.
Yes.
And I mean, like, not hurt necessarily by a specific person and I rejected it from that person. I just mean in general, as a human, you are wounded by things in life.
Yeah.
And so my response to that was really to reject emotional bonding with a lot of people. Obviously, I'm emotionally bonded deeply, like with my children and with you and, you know, several other people. But I have really come to realize that there was like a rejection that happened with this for a long time, which left me like deeply unhappy and empty and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like that anymore. I feel like I've really come to terms sort of with this, and I really, really value deep emotional connection. And that's what I also feel like too, is if somebody isn't prepared to give me that, I'm like,
yeah.
okay.
Exactly. Well, because too, like, and this goes back to what we were talking about with how it matters, like the aspects matter, and, you know, what houses they're in matter, like all of these things matter, because, and everything else in your chart, your other planet placements, those other elements that you have and where they are and things like that, because it is one of the places in your chart that is like the softest.
Yes.
And it's surrounded by things that are not. So it's very easy to put up the thorns around that, and you have them. You have the thorns in the other placements. So it's easy to just do that because you're like, wait, that's like a watery spot. Like, I'm not sure what's going on here. So I'm just going to like do this, and that's going to make me feel better. And so that's why it's important what you said before, because just saying like Venus in Cancer and like, oh, I'm just, it doesn't describe like the fullness of a person.
Yeah, exactly.
Same with, I would feel in a slightly different way with mine, and why I struggled with mine, because I am watery. I am water and fire, my whole entire chart. So random earth placement is like, what? Like, and especially in Venus.
Yeah, you're like, why there?
Yeah, because it's so antithetical. I'm a Scorpio with a fire moon. Like, I'm so passionate and so much about that. So the most sort of passionate part of my chart is an earth sign. Like, that was so strange until I realized, like, okay, that is part of the snapshot of who I am, because those other kind of like passionate placements, like, they can be a little much and they can be a little out of control, and they can be a little bit controlling and a little bit obsessive and all of those things. And so this is a place where I have a little bit more control and more pragmatism. And it's like, this is where I see the things about me that, like, even though I am passionate and all those things and love with a really big heart and stuff, like, I have a very strict line of respect and how I expect people to show up in these arenas in my life. And Virgo energy, I want it a specific way. And if you're not going to give it to me like that,
like, remember the boundaries card that we pulled?
yeah, I'm not interested. And I really do, like, all of that passion drains completely if, like, that isn't met the way that it needs to be met.
No, definitely. And I even see, and I know too, like, playing with all of my fire energy and my big three, that is where, like, that passion also is there. And I'm like, if you're not going to meet me there, I'm just going to completely reject all of it, you know? So that's why I've needed to find people who could meet me there.
Yeah.
And it took a long time.
Yeah.
But it happens. So if you relate with this and you feel like, oh, yeah, that's my problem too, you know? It's not your problem, but you got to make sure you're around the right people. It makes a huge difference.
It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're, you know, kind of forced to interact with people that you don't want to.
We all are at some point.
Yeah. And if you are in, like, a significant way, because you really don't have a lot of autonomy, or, you know, there are a lot of things about you that are shadowed, like we talked about, because it's just the way that you can stay safe right now and stuff, like, that's fine. That's totally fine. But having this knowledge is something that's going to help you, because it'll make you feel less crazy, I think. Right?
Anything to feel less crazy.
Yeah.
So, okay. What else do we have to say about gorgeous Venus before we should pop on over to Mars and see what's up over there?
Do I have anything else to say about Venus? So
I mean, we could say a million things. We could go
could.
on and on about, you know, her cycle and all of that. You know, we're not doing all that.
Yeah, you don't need to worry too much about that. Like, if you're looking these things up because you've never looked them up before, and then you're noticing, okay, this is, my Venus is in, you know, Cancer, my Venus is in Virgo, whatever it is. You might see that it's in a certain degree and, like, all these kind of things. You don't have to worry about all that right now. I think a good place, you can eventually, but I think a good place to start is just figuring out what sign it's in, and then looking up the qualities of that sign. And Jackie gave you the elements for them, so that's really good. And now you can be a little bit more specific. If it is a fire sign and it is Sagittarius, now you can look, okay, well, what's more specific about Sagittarius?
Right.
And just look up the general energy of Sagittarius. Like, even if they're describing, like, a Sagittarius sun, that's fine. Just take that and kind of, like, apply it to sort of that stage, that planet, you know, what it's ruling over, which is what we just talked about, the pleasure and all that.
Yes, exactly. I also just will say one more thing before we go on to Mars. Venus is a little bit similar to Mercury in that because she's so close to the sun and closer to the sun than the Earth is to the sun, then she's always going to be in the same sign as the sun or adjacent signs to the sun. So just to say, you probably are going to have either repetitions of that sign with your Venus, or obviously differences, and you know that's just another factor that as you're building your whole kind of chart interpretation, you know. Yeah. So let's get to Mars. Okay. Mars is so Mars is the next planet to Earth, after Earth, the next furthest out, the fourth closest to the sun. Mars has a little bit of a wider orbit. So you're going to see a wider variety of where your Mars placement can be in relation to your sun placement.
Yes, you are. These are all accurate things.
So Mars is very different energy. But like I said, they kind of play off of each other, I feel.
They do, because I think at the center of the two of them is that passion.
Yeah, but it's sort of channeled in, again, to use sort of the gender terms. Venus channels that passion in that feminine, receptive, kind of loving, gentle way.
Yes.
And Mars is channeling that in a active, energetic, aggressive, potentially way.
Yes. I think of a lot of people, okay, just the way that I talked about how, like, people associate Venus with just love and then they go immediately to romantic relationships. Mars, what people say is, like, anger and, like, fighting.
Yeah, exactly. Mars is how you fight.
Yeah, Mars is how you fight. You hear that so much. Like, Mars is the way that you fight. It's a way to shorten it down, but it's not what it is. It's not
No. So, but Mars, I know, is ruled by Aries.
Yeah.
which is the god of war. And so, we have that too.
Yeah.
But I think it's really about the expression of passion. Look, people, especially in ancient times, they weren't going to war for nothing.
Right.
They were doing it because they needed something.
Yes.
And maybe you could say, oh, they needed power and that's not valid and that's whatever. Fine. I totally understand all of that. But for the person at the time, it meant enough to them to act out all of that to gain whatever it was that their goal was.
Yeah, it would have to mean the most because they were doing the most.
Yes.
So,
yes.
That's all we're saying. It's not a moral judgment one way or the other, but it's just to say, like, that is, like, one of the deepest things. I mean, you feel so strongly about it that you're going to risk your life and other people's lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Mars is also about sexuality.
Yes, absolutely.
And sort of that life force type of passion that really is like that fire within, and that, sort of Aries being that fire day energy too. Sure. That fire within you that really compels you to act towards another person.
Yeah. I think of Mars as just like pure energy.
Yes. I agree.
Yeah. Just pure energy.
It's just energy. I think that's very true. And Mars is also about how we fulfill and pursue goals.
Yeah.
And when we talk about this in your natal chart, your sun placement determines sort of your life's purpose and goal. And then Mars in your natal chart is going to be how you fulfill and pursue whatever the goal of your sun is. So they're like little buddies. They help each other out.
Yeah, they do. And like all of these
Mars
things.
is like, do not talk about me that way.
Yeah.
He's like, I am no one's little buddy, okay?
It's like, how dare you?
He's like, I'm the god of war, bitch.
Exactly.
Sorry.
And Saturn's like, let's have some decorum. I don't like the way that this is going.
Venus is like, oh my god.
Oh my god. And Pluto's like, I'm still here. Like, I'm out here, but I'm still here. They're like, shut up. We're not, shut up. We're talking about the inner planets, the important ones. We're talking about you. It's like, damn it. Okay.
Again.
Yeah.
Poor Shut up.
He's always over there. I don't know. Whenever I indicate him.
Always over there. I know.
It's always.
So, okay, what else? What else about Mars?
Mars. Okay, so we talked about desires, making passionate.
Yes.
I do think that there is the aspect of conflict, how you handle it, how you
Certainly.
expect to be treated in situations of conflict. And
yes.
I don't mean like outright fighting. It's not always that. I mean where you disagree with people.
Or even internal conflict.
Or even internal conflict. Just where places are squaring. Like Mars energy and whatever sign the planet is in for you, it colors the way that you approach situations like that are not harmonized, and sort of how you act and what you do and what you want other people to do and what you'll put up with and not put up with, frankly. And
definitely. And I think it also, to add to what you're saying, it is about how you what kind of energy you show up with in those types of conflicts.
Yes.
It's like, what you are projecting into that to get the outcome that you want. Absolutely. And again, it doesn't have to be manipulative and aggressive, like directly.
No.
But we all want something. I mean, you have to wish for something.
Yes, of course. We all do. And if you don't think you do, there's something there.
Yeah.
And most of you are thinking exactly what it is right now when I'm saying
yes, something came to mind.
Yes,
we know that it did.
To mind.
So I'm prepared to kind of do the same thing again.
I love
with
that.
The elements.
Yes,
so
I want to hear this.
And again, the language is going to be slightly different. Before we were talking with Venus about seeking. Venus is about seeking to attract something, looking for something to be, met. Whereas Mars is about projecting out
Yeah.
as a means of getting your needs met as well. So if your Mars placement is in a fire sign, which, do I have to say them again? I literally said them already.
You don't have to.
Okay, fine. It's Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius.
I'm gonna do it.
If your Mars is in one of those signs, you are going to project your goal-directed energy directly and energetically.
Goal-directed energy. I like that.
If your Mars is in an Earth placement, which, again, we have Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, you are going to project your goal-directed energy patiently and conservatively. You are going to be very particular about how and when you act and why.
Yeah.
If your Mars placement is in an air sign, which we have Gemini, Libra, and what was that? The last one.
They're like, ew, don't.
I know.
Again.
Aquarius is like, don't perceive me.
Stop.
Then you are going to project that energy abstractly, but communicatively. Right?
It's the most frustrating thing.
Yeah, well,
I could go on about that. Go ahead.
I know. If your Mars placement is in water sign, you are going to be projecting your active energy indirectly, but persistently.
Oof, that's also annoying. Hey, okay.
So, I didn't name the water signs or...
That's
whatever.
fine. Scorpio,
It's
Cancer,
the ones
Pisces.
that we didn't say. It's the ones
The other
that are
three.
left. Yeah. So, where's your Mars?
Virgo.
Yeah, I mean, I know.
Yeah.
Which is another Earth sign.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
would you agree with this?
100%. And before I really understood this, I sort of attributed the way that I am in situations like this to my Scorpio nature. Because...
Like waiting and holding back and kind of being,
Yep, lying in wait, not showing, your stinger until you absolutely are going to act, and then you act lethally, and there you go. And I used to just chalk it up to that and be like, well, yeah, that makes sense. But I realized in delving a little bit deeper into the way that I am that this is very true for me. I come with receipts. I come with more receipts than anybody. I will have documentation. Also, and she knows this, my memory is like a steel trap. I do not forget one single thing ever.
Yeah, and the reason I know is because I've seen this done to other people. Never to me. No.
Never you.
No.
But...
I've seen it. Yeah. I've seen it.
If I engage... Oh, yeah, it's conservative, like, to a level because I am... I'm not gonna lose the plot to like lose the battle. Like I'm gonna make sure that I stay on track.
Yes, no, and I think here conservatively also means you are conserving.
Yes.
Like you are keeping to yourself what you need.
Yeah.
And you're not wasting that outward unless and until you have to.
And I think the patiently part comes in too because I don't just pop off. I'm not easily triggered. My energy isn't high with this where I'm just like constantly aggressive or sort of feeling that way all the time. I'm really not. I have a lot of patience and I sort of weigh things, but if it gets to that point where then it is being expressed, that's very much how I express that.
So, okay, can we talk about my Mars placement for a second? I don't want to, but we will.
Okay.
So, my Mars is in Libra.
Yeah.
People. Libra. Okay. So, yeah. And I feel like not like amazing about that. And I still struggle to understand it truly, except here's how I can understand it. I really don't like conflict.
No, that's true.
And nobody likes conflict, to be fair.
course.
Whatever. I mean, if you do, you're a dick, so that's fine.
Yeah,
but
there's plenty of those. So
yeah, and that's fine. Like, be that. I don't care, but not with me. So I really don't like it, and my solution for it is always and this is where I think the abstractly comes in, is like very just like inside myself. I'm just trying to conceptualize like what happened and what did I do and how did it happen, and I'm thinking, intellectualizing it, this kind of air quality. But then there is like communication. I'm like, we actually have to talk about this, and you don't want to bring it up, I'm gonna bring it up. And I'm not aggressive. No, I am gentle and I am thoughtful, but I am not bringing it up.
No, yeah, you definitely are.
So,
and I think your abstract way of thinking about it serves you, because I think what that does for you, when I'm just thinking of like air signs and sort of the way they're able to think about things from up here, I think that you can separate yourself from it, and you detach. And I think maybe you used to think that was because of your fire energy. Like, well, I just don't care.
Totally. Specifically my Aries rising.
Right.
Which I've always felt was like a weird conflict with this. Because Mars rules Aries, which is my chart ruler. Mars is my chart ruler because I'm an Aries rising. But I'm like, but then my Mars is in Libra, which is the opposite side of Aries directly. So I'm just kind of like, ugh,
Yeah, like how does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see why you would think that, but I really do think that it's less of the fire sign, I don't care about that, and more of a, okay, I'm just above this, and like this is dumb, and this is petty, and that's down there, and I don't know exactly what you're thinking, but like in the grand scheme of things, this doesn't bother me because it's stupid.
And you know, it's so funny that you say that too, because I know that you have no problem getting really petty.
Oh, I love to be petty. I live for it.
I fucking hate it. Not about you.
Yes, I know what you mean.
I am like, no, I will not even go there. Like, no, because I'm above it. Like
you're above
you
it.
Said.
You're like gone. You're up there. You're like, philosophically, this does not align with me. And like,
exactly.
I'm just no. And but you also, because it's not just about like you and the way you are. It's about how you relate to others and how you help others to understand conflict, or when they're feeling like upset and angry.
True.
So I'm thinking of the way that you are, like when you're counseling me when I'm angry, or like your children, and like you very much do have that like way of being like, okay, but have you thought about it like this? Because I mean, maybe they didn't mean to do that. And okay, that can be really, really frustrating, especially to someone like me. I almost always hate that because when I've decided, like, you better not. Like, I'm going to look at that as disloyal in most people. Like, if you, anybody but her, if you do that to me, oh man, you're done.
But it's only when we're talking about other people. It's not, I'm not.
No, never.
It's not us.
Never.
It's never us. So I feel like that's what makes it different too.
It does. But then I expect like my enemies to be other people's enemies. Like that's just, I'm always going to be that way. But you are
I
that
don't like
way.
anybody that you don't like.
See, but because I know that about you, I will take that treatment from you because I know that when you're doing that, you're not trying to make me change my mind about the person. You're trying to help me to be more balanced in my response to the person or the situation
100%.
Because you care about me.
Correct.
It's not about them. It's not like, oh, let's rehabilitate them or redeem them. That's not what it is. It's, Ashley, you know, this is coming from this, and maybe have you thought about that you're probably projecting that because of this, and then you're helping me to see those things in a very Libra way, and then also be like, you're above it.
Yes,
we're above it. Like, don't even say, because I'll be like, I'm going to make that comment, and you'll be like, don't say it.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I'll be like, don't give them the energy.
I'm like, I'm going to say it. And then I'm like, and Jackie's like, damn it. But it's always fun.
It is fun. So, I don't know. I like that we talk about our own placements with these.
Yeah.
I think it's fun and interesting.
It's good because the conversations like this are what really help you to understand.
Very, very true. Which is why, I mean, I don't know. Like, I would talk about anyone's chart, not just ours. It's just we're talking about ours.
Yeah, that's the information we have.
This is what we know. Ourselves.
And each other.
And each other, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, is there more to say specifically about Mars that you want to add?
Mars. I don't know. No, not really. Just, you know, Mars can, I don't know. You could, there was something I wanted to say. Not specifically about Mars, but Mars and or Venus.
Okay.
It could be in retrograde, and it could be in retrograde in your natal chart.
Good point.
So sometimes people see that and they freak out, and they're like, okay, what does that mean? Like, I don't, like, I'm stunted. I don't know how to, like, express anger. I don't know how to express love. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that. You might have quite a few planets in your chart that are in retrograde. Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll do another kind of like more in-depth episode on that.
Yeah, for sure.
But just know that it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. It just means that, there might be a little bit more work you have to go through to be comfortable with some of those energies, or might have to go over things a little bit more. It just might not be as comfortable. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And that's a really good point, because when people are just looking at their chart, they're going to see that R. That's what that means.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. I guess that expires my big witch energy.
That's right.
So what I have next is a spell of the week.
Yay. Okay, I'm ready.
Spell of the week. Okay, so this spell of the week I read it. So this is from an author and longtime practicing witch named Michael Fury. And you can look up his books. He's great. I read this, and I just was like, I want to use this. So I have to give him credit.
Okay.
This is called Scream Water.
Ooh.
Okay? Scream water. So, this is a spell for when you are feeling tired, agitated, icky, bad vibes, something like that. All you need is a cup of cold water. And what you're going to do is you're going to get your cup of cold water. Mm-hmm. You're going to take a drink of it, but you're not going to swallow. You're going to hold the water in your mouth.
Okay.
And you are going to visualize any incorrect, harmful energy being absorbed into the water. So once you visualize that for a moment, you're going to swish that water around in your mouth, going to gargle vigorously to complete the energy collection.
Okay.
And then you are going to quickly spit it into the sink. Rinse the sink out, and it is done.
So Mars energy.
Amazing. I know. I read this and I was like, I am in love with this. I also love it because you could literally do this every single day when you brush your teeth.
You can.
Every single day.
Twice a day.
Rid of that
3 times a day, however many
times as it takes.
Can you like scream? Because I feel like I want to spit it and then I want to be like.
Totally. Perfect. Yes. I think any vocalizations are welcome in any spell. That's my opinion. Unless it's a silent spell.
Right. Yeah. Just be mindful if you have like neighbors and you're doing like twice a day. Like, what is happening over there? I'm doing a
Wouldn't
spell.
they like to know?
That's a good one.
So that was my short and sweet spell of the week.
Short, sweet spell of the week.
That was almost a tongue twister. So.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, I don't know. I guess that about wraps up this episode. What do you think?
I have no more big witch energy. I have no more energy, period.
No.
I literally shut.
She's like, done. So, until next time.
Stay witchy, friends.
And stay dumb.
Dumb Witch Club is written and produced by us, Ashley Sidner.
And Jackie Gerard at the Dumb Witch Clubhouse in Orange County, California.
Produced and edited by Matt Heinemeyer. Creative Director and Culture Consultant, Violet Turner.
Original music by Ashley Sidner. And look us up on all your favorite social media platforms, including Patreon.
Until next time, stay witchy, friends.
And stay dumb.